Alright, so here we go. This is probably the last video we're making for this class. This is going to be a review for the exam, or test, final test, whatever we want to call it. This is going to take place on Thursday, April 16th. It's going to open up at 8 in the morning online. It will be open until midnight that day. It's going to be a multiple choice style. It will be timed. You will have 90 minutes to complete the final test. One question at a time, no backtracking. So once you complete a question, that is done. You move on to the next question. You can't go backwards. You have 90 minutes to complete everything. It's a random test, so every person gets their own individual test. This is intended to be an individual effort, so please do not collaborate with others during the test. Okay? Those are the rules. So what is going to be on this? This is going to cover the entire course. So if you're going to have one PowerPoint to study from, this PowerPoint here is about, I'm going to post this, we're going to go through this, but I'm going to post it online as well. This will have about 300 slides, or 250 slides altogether. This is basically all of the slides that are important to all put together into one spot for you to study from. So, risks and hazards, the hazard symbols, shop safety rules, how to perform a risk assessment using risk reduction charts, different methods of risk reduction, what is a control system, a safety-related control system, difference between normally closed and normally open contacts, how a relay works, single versus dual channel, standard and simple safety circuits versus control reliable safety circuits, safety relays and safety PLCs, safety devices, lockout, why we do lockout, how to read a lockout placard, lockout devices and the rules and procedures for it, and then the two different safety standards, the Z432, what it is, how to do the safe distance calculations if I give you the formula, and how to do the reach over calculations for the different fence heights and hazard distances, and then the Z434 standard, how that's different from the 432 standard, circuit and safeguard performance charts, and the minimum distances through different fence hole size openings. That's all the safety stuff. Then we get into the robot stuff, robot users and uses, so the different manufacturers and what robots are used for, and what countries and regions of the world use them and what they're used for. Different types of robots and different joints on a robot and the different control methods for robots as well. And there's a little bit of professional development stuff in here that you need to know as well. So we had two different guest speakers. Know who those guest speakers were. Okay, so we had the Genesis Center and we had FCA come in and speak with us. Know the general idea what these two places that spoke, what they are for. And then know the general themes of type of work that a robot technician can do, the different career paths. We talked about that as well. Okay, so let's really quickly go through all this stuff. So we've got definition of a hazard. And all these definitions we did up front for talking about hazards and risks. We laid out all this stuff. This was the very first class of the year. We did some group work talking about hazards and risks. All the different symbols for different types of hazards. Know those symbols. Then we got into risk assessment, how to perform a risk assessment. There's a lot of different charts that we used for this. That one there, the risk estimation chart. How to use this flow chart. And then the different methods of risk reduction. So elimination substitution, engineering controls, awareness means, training and procedures, and then the personal protective equipment or PPE. And then which ones are most effective versus least effective. We watched that video. we go. Talk more about risk reduction. Then we did some case studies for these. How to go through if I gave you a situation. Talk about this, how we come up with a risk assessment, come up with a solution for that. We talked about a bunch of these in class. We did that as a group exercise. And then we got into the actual electrical things. So normally open versus normally closed. Examples of those. We talked about dual channel versus single channel, why we like dual channel better. Talked about relays, how they are, what they are, how they work. What a contactor is, how that's different from a relay. The simple safety circuit, simple start-stop circuit, how that works, and then why that is not ideal, because you can't get a single point of failure in there. Then we talked about the better style of safety circuit and how that translates into a safety relay. How now we like using safety PLCs instead. And then different types of safety devices. So e-stops, cable pulls, safety gates, light curtains, area scanners, safety mats, enabling devices. And then we got into lockout. What is lockout? Lockout, tagout. All the different rules for that. Lots of stuff there regarding lockout, how to read a placard. Lots of rules here. Different types of lockout devices. So like a disconnect and the different steps for lockout. Know these steps, the order that they go in. Different points to remember, what should be on an actual lock. Procedure to do that. And then we got into the safety standards, so the Z434 standard. This is the robot-specific one. The key thing from this takeaway is the safe distance calculation. So how far does a light curtain need to be from a hazard using that safe distance calculation? We did lots of practice with that. And the reach over calculation. How far does a hazard need to be from a fence depending on how high the fence is? So we use this chart to calculate that. And then we also did the Z432 standard. This is the general machine safeguarding standard. How that's different than the 434 standard. We get into all these things, the different performance requirements and what those mean. And we got into using the chart to determine if you have a hole of a certain size in your fencing, how far does that fence need to be away from the hazard? And that is basically how much of your arm can you fit through that hole and how far can you reach through it and still be safe. That's what determines that. We also talked about lasers, different classes of lasers, guarding against those. And that was it for safety. Then we got into the robot technologies and different robot types. Definition of an industrial robot. Different manufacturers, lots of different manufacturers there. ABB, FANUC, two main ones that we're going to deal with. And talked about market share of robots. Asia, by far the leader worldwide in robot usage. And China, the runaway leader, robot usage worldwide. By robot density, so the number of robots installed per person working in manufacturing, Singapore and Korea. South Korea are the two leaders there. You can see Canada about 10th on that list. What robots can do, what we use them for. Material handling and welding are the two main uses. And in the automotive and electronics industry are the two biggest industries using robotics. Different types of control systems. We talked about servo and non-servo. Talked about different types of joints, the linear and the rotary joint. And we talked about open loop versus closed loop systems, what those mean. And then we got into hydraulic, pneumatic, and electric, advantages and disadvantages of each. And then the different types of robot manipulators. So the articulated robots, like we'll see in our lab, our Cartesian robot, so moving in the XYZ planes, cylindrical robots, polar, the Scara robot, very fast, very accurate. Lots of these we saw in that video that we watched. And then the Delta robot was the other one. Places to work: system integrators, machine builders, manufacturing plants, contract agencies. System integrators, this is basically engineering office that sells their services to other places. Machine builder, they build equipment for end users. The actual end users, this would be like working for the big three. They actually build a product. They need people to do maintenance type functions. And a contracting house. This is basically going to find you a short-term contract to go work as a robot technician for. Okay, so that is basically all the content for this course. So that is what you need to be knowledgeable on. And this PowerPoint would be the good one to study from for the test. So good luck. Thursday, open all day. And good luck. We'll see you Thursday.